Okay, but why was America's top general defending Germans right after defeating them?
Yeah, freaking basically, because after Germany surrendered in May 1945, Patton started saying the quiet parts out loud about the war, the Soviets, and who he thought the real enemy actually was.
What exactly did he say?
Patton openly criticized Allied policy, saying the U.S. fought the wrong enemy and should have pushed straight to Berlin before the Red Army, instead of stopping advances and letting Stalin take half of Europe. There are some claims that the U.S. purposely stalled Patton's advance as they were always short on fuel and received halt orders from Eisenhower. Patton said during the war, "At the present time, our chief difficulty is not the Germans, but gasoline. If they would give me enough gas, I could go all the way to Berlin." To reinforce this, Eisenhower reportedly said following the war, "God, I hate the Germans, and it is a pity we could not have unalived more."
That would alarm anyone.
It got worse, because on July 21st, 1945, after visiting ruined Berlin, he wrote that America destroyed Germany and was replacing them with, quote, Mongolian savages, predicting all Europe would turn communist.
Why was that such a problem publicly?
Because he wasn't necessarily wrong. The stalling of the American army allowed the Soviets to advance much farther and gain much more land. The Soviets also did not sign any documents regarding treatment of prisoners of war or civilians. It said that for the first week after they took Berlin, all women who ran were shot and those who did not were raped. However, the Americans weren't saints either. The Americans put German prisoners of war in open-air prisons with no shelter, little to no food, and in many cases refused to treat wounds. They called them disarmed enemy forces rather than prisoners of war to avert the Geneva Convention. Patton went on to say, "I have been at Frankfurt for a civil government conference. If what we are doing to the Germans is liberty, then give me death. I can't see how Americans can sink so low. It is Semitic, and I am sure of it."
Semitic? What did he mean by that?
Patton's views changed after the war ended and landed him in some hot water. Along with his famous quote stating that he fought the wrong enemy, he also said the following in a letter to his wife. "Today we received orders in which we were told to give the Jews special accommodations. If for Jews, why not Catholics, Mormons, etc.? We are also turning over to the French several 100,000 POWs to be used as slave labor in France. It is amusing to recall that we fought the revolution in defense of the rights of man and the Civil War to abolish slavery and have now gone back on both principles." He also believed that the U.S. should have fought the Soviets immediately following Germany's defeat to prevent the spread of what he referred to as communist slavery.
So how did leadership respond?
Eisenhower quietly removed him from 3rd Army Command in October 1945, reassigned him to a powerless administrative role, and made sure he had no influence on occupation policy or future Cold War decisions. 2 months later, he would be involved in a low-speed car accident, which paralyzed him, resulting in his death just days later. The timing of his death has definitely raised eyebrows.
Survived World War II, outpaced Europe, then died right after losing his voice. Maybe his opinions were his deadliest weapon.
Patton was not punished for losing, but for speaking too plainly and maybe being uncomfortably right about what came next.
Are you noticing yet?